Hey, what up, guys? Happy New Year! 2019 is here. Man, cannot wait for this year with boxing. It's gonna be a good one. Hope everybody had a safe night. I heard about a couple accidents out there. Scary shit, man. Not worth it, guys. No drinking and driving. Trust me, not worth it. Anyways, let's get into the subject of the day, which is the title win of the year. This is another new award that I've brought on here. Into this year that I wasn't doing last year, so I don't have one for 2017. But it's basically, exactly what I said it is. It's the guys who had the best title win, adding a title either in a unification bout or just winning a world title to begin with. We'll go by division, and then we'll look at the top 5 finalists. But there were some good ones. We had a lot of new champions in 2018. And I want to go over the best, title wins by division. So we start with 122-pound super bantamweight, and the best title win there was Emmanuel Navarrete's 12-round unanimous decision over Isaac Dogboe. This was on ESPN in December. Was pretty built up. It was on the undercard at Lomachenko and Pedraza, and it really looked like this guy was like Dogboe was on a roll and was the new thing in the division. Navarrete had, he'd only had one loss on his resume. It was early on in his career, but, the guy had won a lot of fights in a row and a lot by knockout, but he primarily only fought in Mexico. So, this was a big upset and a, pretty sound 12-round unanimous decision. He pretty much beat up Dogboe for the 12 rounds. It was a good close fight for the first 6 rounds, and then he just took over. He was longer and just better, and really strong win here, and really convincing win. They're talking rematch, but this was a good title win right here in this division, and got to give it to him. So 126 now, which is featherweight, the best title win of the year. I'm going with Josh Warrington's 12-round split decision over Lee Selby. There wasn't a lot to choose from in this division, but this win ended up leading Warrington to a title defense against Carl Frampton. And, Selby was a long reigning champion. He had been champ for about 3 years, and he was facing Warrington, and Warrington was the underdog, and Warrington went in there and just the split decision doesn't reflect the fight. He actually whipped Selby's ass in this one, and almost stopped him a couple times and got a clear-cut decision. So that was the best win right there at featherweight 126. At 130, the best title win of the year, I gave it to Masayuki Ito's 12-round decision, unanimous decision over Christopher Diaz, who was undefeated. This is another one where Ito was the underdog coming in. The title was vacant. Diaz looked like a shoe-in to win the world title with Top Rank. And Lomachenko had given up the belt earlier in the year, and it looked like Christopher Diaz was just pretty much going to be handed a title because nobody really knew Masayuki Ito at all. And Ito showed everybody what he was all about. He really put it on Diaz, outworked him from start to finish, knocked him down in the 4th round, and got a clear-cut decision, sound decision. So pretty good performance right there, becoming a new champ. Let me see here. Now at 135, 135 is a finalist. So 140, I'm going to go with, which is junior welterweight. I'm going with Kiro Relic's 12-round unanimous decision over Rances Barthelemy to win the vacant WBA title. This one is tough to choose because we had a couple new champions at 140, but I really think Relic deserves it because he went into this fight the underdog after losing the first fight to Barthelemy last year by a controversial unanimous decision. But a lot of people, myself included, thought that Barthelemy was just overlooking Relic last year when he fought him, and that this year, especially with the world title on the line, that he would take it more serious and outbox him and beat him convincingly this time. And Relic wasn't having it. He went out and, like I said, he dominated him from start to finish, and no doubt got hurt by a body shot late in the fight, but Lemmy wasn't even in this fight. He just could not figure it out and just got completely outworked. And Relic went on to win the world title in an upset, and that punched his ticket to the World Boxing Super Series, where he won in the quarterfinals and is going to be facing off against Regis Prograis now. So that was a pretty big win for Relic. Congrats to him grabbing his first world title. Let me move on now to the next division. And I'm looking at who's the finalist here. The next three divisions, 147, 154, 160, 168, and 175 all have finalists. So the title win of the year, the next title win we look at is at heavyweight, and that is a win over Joseph Parker. This really was by default the only title win in this division. Joshua was the unified champ already. He had the IBF and WBA belts, and Parker beat a WBO champion. It's a pretty big fight going in. Joshua, it was just kind of an uneventful 12-round unanimous decision. It was the first time he ever had to go to a decision, but Parker showed how tough he was. But it was just kind of a workmanlike decision, but he got the win nonetheless and added another world title. So this one makes the list out of the heavyweight bracket. And now we're going to look at the finalists. This one, I think I had 7 fights in my top 5. I had 3 fights tied for 5th. Because, you know, these fights were just that good at, I'm sorry, drawing a blank here, in a lot of the divisions. There were some just really good title wins to talk about, and I wanted to include as many as I could. So I have a 3-way tie for 5th, and I'm going to start with Eleider Alvarez's 7th round TKO of Sergey Kovalev to capture the WBO title. Another one, Alvarez was the underdog going in. Nobody really saw this one coming, and he dominated. He didn't dominate. He was losing the fight on the scorecards, but he fought really hard and was landing some good shots throughout. And in the 7th round, just a perfect overhand right put Kovalev down, and he finished him off with a couple more knockdowns. And it was a big upset, you know, and it moved him straight to the top of the division with that win, and proved how good he really is. And, yeah, you really got to hand it to him. That was a pretty good title win right there for Alvarez. Also tied for 5th is Callum Smith's 7th round knockout of George Groves to win the WBA Super Middleweight Super Championship. This was also the finals of the World Boxing Super Series. Another one where Smith was the underdog going in against a solid veteran champion in George Groves. And, you know, I think it was kind of viewed as a fight that could go either way. I really thought, because Smith hadn't really shown a lot of power in fights against lesser opposition, I really thought that this was going to go to the scorecards for sure, and that either guy could win the fight. And it was a close fight. It was back and forth. It was pretty even. And in the 7th round, I think it was a left hook that fucking put Groves down hard, and he did not get up and couldn't continue. And just a great win right here. He won the Super Series with this one. He moved himself to the top of the division with that win. So big time win right there for Callum Smith. Big time title win. And, you know, congrats on being a new champ. And then the other fight that's tied for 5th was Vasily Lomachenko's 10th round knockout or TKO of Jorge Linares. This was a big one right here because Lomachenko, even though he was a favorite going in, he was moving up to a 3rd weight class to 135 to try to win another world title in the 3rd weight class. And Linares was, even though Mikey Garcia was viewed as probably the best overall fighter at 135, Linares was not too far behind him. And because of Linares' resume, I had him number 1 at 135. You know, Linares was coming off of a good-ass decision win in September against Luke Campbell. So it was definitely a good matchup. And the fact that Loma got challenged pretty much for his first time since the Orlando Salido fight, which was his 2nd career fight. Like, Linares actually was, that fight was dead even going into the 10th round, and he had to land a block. You really can't ask for much more than that, or just an impressive performance by the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing. So that one was the 5th best title win are tied for the 5th best title win of the year. The 4th best title win of the year, I'm going with Shawn Porter's 12-round unanimous decision over Mikey Garcia. He claimed the vacant WBC title with that win. Keith Thurman gave up the belt, and the belt became vacant, and Porter got put in against Garcia. And this was a fight that a lot of people, I felt, thought, Garcia was going to win because he was more the A side, the bigger name. But Porter, I picked him to win a close decision, and he went out and won a close decision. Garcia put up a great fight. They really showed that they're two top-notch fighters in the best division in boxing. And, yeah, this was a big-time win for Porter. I think it was bigger for Porter to win than it was Danny, because Porter needed this one more than Danny needed it. Porter is the B-side, and he's also a guy that Danny avoided. Like, Danny would not fight Porter in a non-title fight, in an eliminator. Porter, he had been ordered to. He refused to sign, and then he finally signed to face Porter when the title became available. So Porter's, in a lot of ways, like the boogeyman of the division because of his style and his ability to take a punch. It's hard to look good against him. So, Danny, really wouldn't give him a shot, and this was just a huge win for Shawn Porter. So, and a big win for him in that division too. It really raised his stock. He's probably going to get a rematch with Keith Thurman now because of it. If they both win their next 2 fights, which they both should. So, congrats to Porter. That was a big-time title win right there, becoming a champ for his 2nd time in his career. So, yeah, good one. Then my number 3 title win of the year, I'm going with Jarrett Hurd's 12-round split decision over Erislandy Lara to unify belts. This fight really, Lara was the number 1 fighter in the division for a while, and Jarrett Hurd in 2017 proved that he was number 2 in the division with what he did, beating Tony Harrison and Austin Trout, and knocking both of them out. Those are both good-sized wins. So when they signed on for this fight, I gave Hurd a lot of props because Lara's the boogeyman at 154. He's such a good boxer, and he's a southpaw that nobody wants to fight him. And, he's avoided a lot. And Jarrett Hurd stepped up to the plate, attempted to unify, and he added Lara's title with just a gutsy, hard-fought performance. He kept coming. He won it in the last round with a knockdown. That was a great fight, and just a strong win, and truly about to determine the best fighter at 154. And he showed he was better by a split hair, but it was a very good fight, and that was a really good win. And he added a world title, so that was a title win, unifying belts and becoming, the unified champ at 154. Now, my number 2 title win of the year, I'm going with Canelo's 12-round majority decision over Triple G. This one was tough to call, because it was just such a great fight, but it was such a big fight, and the significance of it. Going in, Triple G, undefeated champion for so many years. Most people felt like he beat Canelo the first fight. I thought the first fight was very close. I thought a draw was a good call, but I would have been fine with Triple G winning the first fight. Canelo came out in the second fight and won the world title. No matter how you saw that fight, he did way better the second time than he did the first time. Pushed the action, landed some wicked power shots, good body shots. Gotta hand it to Canelo. Great performance, very close fight, and it was the biggest fight of the year. So winning this fight was huge for Canelo, for boxing, and for the whole, for the whole kind of world with Canelo being the top guy now in terms of attention of boxing. They look to Canelo now. Canelo's the new leader of boxing, so that was him winning is good for boxing, and him winning those 2 world titles at 160 made him the top guy at 160 pounds, and that was a huge win. But people might argue this one, but you really can't. Number 1 title win of the year goes to Alexander Usyk's 12-round unanimous decision over Murat Gassiev to become the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. Guys, this one, it's very rare. This is only the 3rd time in history since there's been four legitimate world titles in boxing, like 4 governing bodies. This is only the 3rd time in history, and only the 4th champion in history that we've seen all 4 titles unified with one fighter. Bernard Hopkins did it ages ago. He was the first guy to do it when he beat Oscar De La Hoya. He unified all the belts. And then Jermaine Taylor beat Bernard to win all 4 belts from Bernard. And then last year, Terrence Crawford unified belts against Julius Indongo with that knockout. This one was brought out, and these truly were the top 2 guys at 200 pounds. It was the finals of the World Boxing Super Series, and it was huge, a huge fight. You know, and like I said, to bring all 4 belts together to become the undisputed champion. He had 2 belts going in, did Usyk. He had the WBC, WBO. Gassiev had the IBF and WBA. And they both won those titles in classics, classic semifinal fights in the Super Series tournament. And now they were going against each other. And, you know, what makes it even better is I thought after the way Gassiev looked in the semifinals, knocking out Dorticos, and then the way Usyk looked against Briedis, which was a close fight, and he really had to dig deep and win a majority decision. I thought Gassiev was gonna give Usyk a good fight. I picked Usyk to win, but I thought it was gonna be close. And Usyk went out and fucking dominated Gassiev from start to finish, shutout decision. I mean, it was 12 rounds to nothing, 11 rounds to 1. He dominated Gassiev and unified all 4 belts and won the Super Series tournament. And because he added those belts and became the undisputed champion without question, that's the title win of the year. You have to give it to that one. That was a big win, whether you watched it or not, whether you pay attention to the Super Series or not. You cannot deny that, being a 4-belt champion in the division, that's not just fucking huge for boxing. So big time win right there. Title win. Congratulations to him on becoming the undisputed champ. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. And I'm going to be coming back maybe later on in this morning with the best title defense of the year. If not, it'll be later on today. But yeah, best title defense of the year. Basically, it's not going to include unification bouts because you're challenging to unify belts more than you are defending your world title. So it's purely going to be you're the champion defending against the challenger, for best title defense of the year. So that's that one. And yeah, make sure you're paying attention to that. And I'll talk to you guys later. Be safe out there. All right. Thanks. Bye.